Do not take these words lightly. They are not just philosophy, not just psychology. They are a warning and an invitation. A reminder that beneath every face you meet lies a shadow. And beneath your own reflection, there is one too. Before we walk into the story I'm about to tell you, I need you to understand something. This is not entertainment. This is not just a tale. What follows is a mirror. If you dare to look closely, you will see fragments of yourself inside it, perhaps the very parts you've worked hardest to bury. Jung's words reveal an uncomfortable truth. We are quick to judge the cruelty, the lies, the betrayals of others, yet blind to the same seeds lying dormant in our own hearts. We are outraged when someone deceives us, but do we not deceive? We recoil from another's anger, yet we too have flames we hide behind our ribs. The story you're about to hear is not about someone else. It is about you, about me, about all of us. It is about the shadows we project onto others, because we refuse to confront the ones inside ourselves. So, let us open the door together. Step quietly, but with courage, because once you begin to see your own darkness, you can never unsee it again. There was a time in my life when I believed that the shadows belonged to other people. That cruelty, deception, anger, they lived outside of me, in strangers and enemies, in faces that felt distant from my own. I thought myself different, cleaner, safer, but that illusion could not last forever. Life has a way of cornering us, of peeling back the mask we cling to. I remember nights when I felt consumed by a rage I could not explain, or mornings when I lied so easily, to others, to myself, that I wondered if I even remembered the sound of truth anymore. Those were the moments when I began to realize the darkness I feared in others was not separate from me. It was within me. And yet, I fought it. I denied it. I wanted to believe I was only light, only goodness. But the more I denied it, the more it grew in secret, like vines in the dark, twisting, tightening, waiting for the chance to strangle the parts of me I thought were untouchable. This is the hardest thing to admit, that the parts of me I most despised in others were reflections of myself. The liar, the coward, the one who judges too quickly, the one who wounds without thought. They lived within my skin, and to face them felt like death itself. But I learned something in that struggle. To know yourself is not to embrace only the beauty. It is to sit with the shadow until you recognize its face, and realize it has always been yours. And this is where our story begins. There was once a wanderer who lived in a village surrounded by mountains. To the people, he was admired, a man of calm voice, generous hand, and steady eyes. They trusted him, leaned on him, praised him. But what no one saw was the darkness he carried inside. Every night, when the village fell silent, he felt it stir. An unease, a whisper, a restless force pacing behind the walls of his chest. By day he smiled, played the role, offered kindness. By night, he stared into the black window of his own mind, afraid of what stared back. He told himself the same lie again and again, that his shadows belonged to others, that the selfishness was theirs, not his, that the rage was theirs, not his. He projected his darkness into every corner of the world, so that he could pretend his own hands were clean. But the truth cannot be banished forever. One evening, as the sun bled across the horizon, the wanderer entered the forest at the edge of the mountains. And there, in the fading light, he encountered a figure. It was not a stranger, nor a friend. It was something in between, a presence both familiar and unbearable. Cloaked in silence, its eyes glowed not with fire but with recognition. The wanderer froze, for the face he saw before him was his own, twisted, sharpened, darker, but undeniably his. The figure spoke no words. It only stood, like a mirror that could no longer be avoided. And in that moment, the wanderer understood. He was not facing a demon, nor an enemy, but the part of himself he had spent a lifetime fleeing. The wanderer's breath tightened as he stared at the figure before him. His instinct was to fight, to deny, to banish it, like all the fears he had buried before. "You are not me," he whispered, clenching his fists. I am good. I am kind. I am nothing like you. The shadow smiled, a slow, hollow curve of the lips that carried no warmth. Its silence cut deeper than any accusation. And in that silence, the wanderer felt a dangerous truth rising. The harder he denied this figure, the stronger it became. He tried to run. His feet pounded against the soil, but the forest seemed endless. The trees twisted into corridors that led him back to the same place. Again and again he circled, only to find the figure waiting, patient, still, watching. Anger surged. Leave me, he shouted. His voice cracked like breaking glass. Yet even in his rage, he recognized the voice of the figure was his own. Every echo of fury, every fragment of bitterness, it belonged to him. The wanderer fell to his knees, trembling, his hands pressed against his ears. But the whispers were inside, not outside. They rose like a chorus of all the moments he had denied, the lies he had told, the envy he had hidden, the cruelty he had inflicted in silence. The shadow took a step forward, not with violence, but inevitability, and the wanderer, trembling, realized there was no escape. For the first time, he understood what Jung meant. The darkness was not an intruder. It was the reflection he had abandoned, the truth he had disowned, and now it demanded to be seen. The wanderer could run no longer. Exhaustion pressed against his chest like iron, forcing him to sit upon the cold earth. The shadow figure lingered a few steps away, silent, unmoving, as if waiting for something more than fear. At last, the wanderer lifted his eyes. What do you want from me? He asked, his voice raw. The figure tilted its head, and in that small motion, the air around him shifted. Memories began to spill forth uninvited. The friend he had betrayed with quiet envy, the stranger he had judged with contempt, the words he had spoken that cut deeper than any blade. These were not ghosts from other lives. They were his own moments, his own hands shaping cruelty, his own silence enabling harm. He wanted to look away, but the figure would not allow it. Each memory unfolded like a mirror, showing him the parts of himself he had buried beneath the mask of virtue. His darkness was not some monstrous force imposed upon him. It was built piece by piece, by every denial, every repression, every time he insisted that evil belonged only to others. A strange thing happened then. The more he looked, the more the figure began to change. Its face no longer appeared entirely foreign or terrifying. Its outline softened, as if it had always been carved from the same flesh and bone as his own. And for the first time, the wanderer did not feel only fear. He felt recognition. The shadow was not demanding his destruction. It was demanding his acknowledgement. Tears slid down his cheeks, not from despair, but from the painful relief of finally admitting, this is me. I am both light and dark, and to deny one is to deny all of myself. The forest was silent, as though the world itself held its breath. The wanderer sat in stillness, his tears sinking into the soil. The shadow no longer loomed as an enemy, but waited, as if it had always belonged there, like a missing piece of a puzzle he had refused to complete. For the first time, he spoke without fear. If you are me, then I will not run anymore. The figure moved closer, not with menace, but with gravity. When it reached him, it knelt, and for a moment, they were eye to eye. The wanderer saw his own sorrow there, his own anger, his own untamed desires, not as monsters, but as children he had abandoned. Something softened within him. His chest loosened, his breath slowed, and when he raised his hand, trembling, to touch the shadow's shoulder, it did not vanish. It merged, the outline blurred, the weight dissolved, and he felt it move inward, not to possess him, but to return to where it had always belonged. The wanderer realized then that knowing one's darkness does not mean becoming consumed by it. It means carrying it with awareness, so that it no longer governs from the shadows. He saw that every human face he had judged carried its own hidden wounds, its own secret battles, and in seeing his own darkness, he could finally see theirs. not with condemnation, but with understanding. As the night deepened, the forest no longer felt hostile. The trees swayed gently. The air grew lighter. For the first time in his life, the wanderer was not divided. He was whole. And in that wholeness, he discovered a quiet strength he had never known. What the wanderer discovered is what Jung spent a lifetime teaching us: that the shadow is not a monster to be slain, but a truth to be integrated. The shadow contains the parts of ourselves we deny: our anger, jealousy, selfishness, cruelty, but also our hidden vitality, our creativity, our wildness, our capacity to live fully. To repress it is to remain blind. To face it is to become whole. This is why Jung warned us: knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Because until we have acknowledged our own shadow, we will forever project it outward. We will see enemies where there are none. We will condemn others for flaws we secretly carry. We will fail to recognize that what unsettles us most in them is the mirror of ourselves. But when we face our own darkness, something changes. We no longer need to fear the shadows of others. We can listen to anger without being destroyed by it. We can see deception without losing ourselves in hatred. We can understand betrayal, not as something alien, but as something human. Painful, yes, but no longer incomprehensible. This does not excuse cruelty, nor does it erase the responsibility people carry for their choices. But it allows us to approach others with clarity instead of projection, with empathy instead of denial. We can stand before another person's darkness and not be consumed, because we have already stood before our own. And perhaps most importantly, when we embrace our own shadow, we stop pretending to be only light. We become something stronger, something real, a whole human being, capable of both compassion and courage. I have walked through my own forest of shadows. I have run from the figure that carried my face, only to find it waiting for me at every turn. I have denied it, hated it, feared it, and still it never left. But now I know, the shadow is not here to destroy me. It is here to complete me. It is the part of me that carries the truths I was too afraid to name, the anger I buried, the envy I disguised, the loneliness I masked with smiles. All of it was mine, and in pretending it wasn't, I became smaller, weaker, fractured. The moment I turned toward it, the fear changed. It softened into recognition, into acceptance. And with that acceptance came freedom. For when I see my own darkness clearly, I am no longer trapped by it. I can meet others without judgment clouding my vision. I can see their cruelty and remember the cruelty I've known in myself. I can see their pain and know the echo of my own. And so I leave you with this: do not flee from your shadow. Do not disguise it. Do not bury it. Do not throw it onto the shoulders of those around you. Instead, walk into the forest. Face it. Listen. Because in the end, the darkness you fear most is not the darkness of others. It is your own. And once you have faced it, you will understand people in a way you never thought possible. Not because they are less broken, but because you are no longer blind. And in that quiet, painful clarity, you will finally see